On a week where the Superstar Series is off for the week, we still are bringing you our weekly dose of high-speed action. This is the One-Up Nitro National Series, live from Sonoma Raceway, the beautiful road course out in wine country, Sonoma, California. Alongside me, as always, is Duke Ansack for this race, our first road course race of the season for the Nitro National Series, and it's a very interesting layout we've got here. Very technical circuit, very short. I gotta ask you, where's the best passing opportunity? Because there's very few here at Sonoma Raceway. You gotta pick your spots carefully.
Yeah, you're going to want to pass people going into high braking zones here. You're going to want to sneak low on people and try to get around them through the middle of the corner while you're off the throttle. And I think that going into turn 11, the hairpin here at Sonoma is the perfect spot for that.
Another opportunity to pass is turn 7, which leads to the high-speed S's on the backside of the circuit, which will cause plenty of racing action throughout the field, and we can give you the full starting lineup as we held qualifying earlier in the week. As Sam Donotto gets his second pole of the season, he lines up alongside road course expert Mark Davey. Alongside him, Zachary DeLello in his second race with Team J Spring gets his best career start. Alongside him, Jared Jackson, another solid road course driver in the number 23. Zach Rogers with his best career start in the Nitro National Series rounds out the top 5. Anybody you got an eye out for throughout the top 10 or even further back?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how the common people that are up front fare against some of the drivers that are more like road course ringers in a sense. I'm watching Mark Davey up there and Zachary DeLello, really good qualifying runs. I think that those two are going to be worth looking out for, but I think that Sam Donotto might have something to say about this thing before it's all over.
And remember, he endured a heartbreaking defeat at Pensacola to start the season. Wouldn't he love to put his name on the wins column in a big way here at Sonoma? And with that being said, the cars are lined up on the grid and we're all set to go racing. This is the One-Up Nitro National Series, live from Sonoma Raceway. The green flag is next. Sam Donotto leading Mark Davey, Zachary DeLello, Jared Jackson, and Zach Rogers completing the top 5. The pace car's on pit road. The green flag is in the starter's hand. The flag is down, and we're underway at Sonoma Raceway. It looks like they're pretty even across the line. I can imagine Sam Donotto's going to get the edge going up in the turn 1 up the hill. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to get the advantage. Oh, contact is made. Donotto runs wide, and that puts Mark Davey into the race lead on lap 1 up the hill down into turn 3.
Wow, there was a lot of contact right there between the top two. Davey comes out on top in the 38 car. We'll see. It's a little bit tougher to pass here considering it's a road course as opposed to some of the higher speed ovals that we go to normally. A lot of people going wide in the back. We'll see what Sam Donotto has for that 38 car after it was pretty aggressive coming through the first set of corners.
Through turn 7 and down the hill towards the sweeping S's, it's Davey ahead of Donotto. Jackson gets ahead of DeLello for third. And it looks like Bill Capri in the 63 has gotten ahead of Zach Rogers to cement himself into the top 5. So second, fourth, and sixth will all gain spots on the opening lap. First, third, and fifth all drop the spot. Goes to show you how unpredictable these road courses can be, and as they head down into turn 11 for the first time, complete lap number 1 with Mark Davey, the Australian native, in the race lead.
Yeah, and that turn 11, that's the slowest spot on this racetrack. We go to a lot of tracks here that are pretty short, and the laps tick away real quick, like Bristol and stuff, and it's really, kind of shocking to go for so long during just one lap, but we completed that first one, and Sam Donotto is knocking on the door of that 38 car. We're just going to have to see when he's able to make the move and if he's able to make the move on Davies.
Davey's spent plenty of time in Formula One over the years. He's honed his road racing skills there. He's decided to come over to the One-Up Nitro National Series to see what he can do here in a part-time schedule with Jeff Bolton Racing and that Duncan number 38. And he's making a charge on it, going through the S's for the second time. He's starting to stretch a gap a little over Sam Donotto, who, remember, is a good road racer in his own right. As you see your 3 car making a move on Zach Rogers. That's for 6. Another good road racer there in that 3 car.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of his specialties there, Alex, in the 3 car. He's driving some some fancy paint today. So it's really going to be interesting to see how he's able to move up through the field. Didn't qualify super great, but he's moving up through there. And here we're looking at the 03 car, another one of these cars that isn't really up front all the time, but having a solid run today, sitting in 4th right now, racing with that 63 car just behind. So it's going to be interesting to see how these cars, how the running order changes throughout the race, and who's kind of the comers and goers of today's event. If they go caution free, it's going to be interesting to see who ends up in a position where they can win. Is it going to be Sam Donotto? Is it going to be Mark Davey? Are they going to stay up there in the front, or is it going to be somebody that's coming from farther back to try to challenge?
With only local yellows to slow the action down briefly in a certain set of corners, and with one pit stop to get through in today's race, it's going to be all about who can position themselves up front at the right time and who can stay ahead of the madness that can often happen here on these road courses. As right now, Sam Donotto has his lead stretched a little bit by Mark Davey as they head down into turn 11. Can Donotto try and close in a little bit? He's getting a little closer, but not quite close enough to make the pass as Davey powers through turn 12, and he will lead lap number 3.
It looks to me like Davey is a little bit better coming off of the corners, and Sam Donotto is better on entry. You can kind of see that Sam Donotto closes the gap a little bit on the corner entries, and then kind of loses a little bit of grip through the middle of the corner. At least that's what happened there, it seems. And then the 38 car is able to power off of the corner a little bit better. So it's going to be interesting to see how that changes. With one pit stop here, you're going to be able to get some adjustments on your car. So it just depends on how the adjustments happen and who's there. They're coming out of the pits, of course, and it looks like that 00 car is maybe he's starting to gain a little bit of time. It's really hard to tell. They're so close already, but he hasn't been able to make a move yet.
And one pit stop in this race, one more opportunity for mistakes to be made. These pit crews can't be perfect every single time, but they better be perfect today because it's only one chance for them to shine here. As they head down into turn 11, Mark Davey ahead of Sam Donotto by about a car length, and as they power off of 11 and head for turn 12 to complete the lap, Davey remains out front. These are his first laps led in the Nitro National Series competition. Can he convert this to his first race win?
Yeah, I'm sure that he certainly hopes so. It'd be really good to get a win for any of these drivers. Of course, getting a win would absolutely make the season for them. We're watching this battle for 4th. It looks like there was maybe somebody went off the track.
It was Matthew Polanski in the 18 and AJ Jones in the 77. They've had an off coming up off of the hill, and you can see damage to both of their race cars. And they are running now 41st and 42nd. The last two cars running on track right now. They've got a lot of work now to do to catch back up, and I assume they'll have slower pit stops because of this. As we have another car off track, and that's the 70 of Peter Onjak, who's gone off the track. He comes back on in about 31st position. So he will be able to continue on, but he's lost a lot of track position. He's going to have a lot of work to do to make it back up.
Yeah, that was a nice rejoin by that 70 car. That could have been a really dangerous situation with one off the course and everybody else too wide behind. But it was a nice rejoining of the action there. With
looks like Jerry Cook's got a problem in his 72. He was way off pace of Peter Onjak, and you can see now he's holding up the 6 cars behind him. Fair, McFadden, Murray, Jones, Dixon, Joseph, they're all stacked up, and here he comes, Jerry Cook, into the pits to assess the problem on his 72. It could be a mechanical issue, could be a tire issue, but either way, he's now committing himself to a 2-stop strategy here because he cannot make it to the end from here.
That's unfortunate for the 72 car. The 2-stop strategy right now, unfortunately, seems like it's not really going to be an option that is going to work out super well in the end, and that's unfortunate to see that the 72 car is having problems. That was quite a chaotic lap, I have to say. Lots of people going off the course and getting damage. We saw Matthew Polanski. He had a great week, season debut last week, but right now wishing they could go back. That's for sure.
Looking ahead to next week's race at Phoenix, where hopefully he can perform, where actually he will be watching from afar as the Cup Series drivers return, and one of them, either his brother Jared or Roberto Cronin Jr., will slot into the wheel of the 18 as Jerry Cook comes back out on the racetrack. A while off the pace, coming up through the S's right now, and just ahead of Mark Davey and Sam Donotto as they wind their way up the hill to start lap number 7 of this race. They're still about half a second apart, but Jarrett Jackson's still hanging on to the back of them, about 2 seconds off. But from there on back, they've just left everybody else in the dust, 7 seconds back to Zachary DeLello in 4th.
Yeah, this is really interesting how this is playing out right now. All from 4th on back, they're all about almost 7.5 seconds behind, and these 3 up front, at least, especially these 2 right here with Davey and Donotto, they're just driving away. Jackson is holding on tight to these 2, but this is becoming interesting here very quickly to see just how these cars are spreading out on this race course. It looks like it's going to come down to these 3 drivers after the pit stops to see who wins this thing, but who knows, really. I mean, with so few cars, if there's one issue with one of these 3 cars and it takes them all out, then everybody else is going to be right there in the hot seat.
And that being Zachary DeLello, Bill Capri, Alex Forget-Baroud, Zach Rogers, and everyone else behind in this race as we go back and take a look. This is the closest battle for position of the front runners right now. Zachary DeLello ahead of Bill Capri and Alex Forget-Baroud in the 3, sporting a new color scheme this week, but he's performing just as well as he did before. Started 9th, he's up to 6th, and I can only imagine that DeLello and Capri are holding him up a little bit as he tries to make his way around them. It won't work this time around, but hopefully he can make something happen later on in this race, because he's got a very fast car, and I'd like to see what he can do up against the likes of Donotto, Davey, and Jackson.
You're absolutely right. It's interesting to see. I always keep an eye out for situations that where there's one car and then a bunch of cars stacked up right behind. That is usually an indicator that car is just enough slower than those guys that he's holding them up, but not quite slow enough that they can easily pass that car. And I think that's the situation right there with the 03. So good job on the part of the 03 car of Zachary DeLello to keep that position. Good defense, but all those other people are getting held up just a little bit at this point.
Let's see how far back they get on this next lap. They are 8.3 back, went on the last lap, and as the leaders wind their way, see they've lost a full second or more on these guys. As you can see, we had a car off, and it looks like it was Bill Capri in the 63 who was running in 5th position, but he had an off, or maybe he got punted into turn 11, I'm not sure. But either way, he's now slotted in behind his teammate Chris Lattimore, and Capri is now back in 16th position. I'm not sure what happened, but Capri's race has just come undone in an instant.
Yeah, that's really surprising. That 63 car, he was running really well, and I have to say he's fallen pretty far back just to meet up with Alexa Lutchen, who for the 2nd week in a row is having a pretty lackluster race. It's so surprising to see that 50 car so far back in the field.
She's hanging tough, though, in 17th, right behind Bill Capri. As we head back up to the leaders, and Jerry Cook is just ahead of them. He's crossing the start-finish line now, and as the leaders head through turn 11, they will be coming up across the line pretty soon. Right about as they cross the line now. So Jerry Cook has a bit of a gap to work with, but he can't dawdle. He's got to hustle to stay ahead of these guys or risk going a lap down.
Yeah, and for these leaders, that could be a big problem. It is tough to pass here just because of the nature of the track. It's a road course. There aren't a lot of passing zones. Unless you're a lot faster than somebody, then you can pass on straightaways and whatnot. But I don't think that they're a lot faster than Jerry Cook right now, so I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys catch up to Jerry Cook and then pit immediately for that pit stop. We're getting close enough to the window where I think that they'll catch him and they'll pit so that they don't lose any time.
The window is about lap 15 to 17, so they're probably going to split this race in half. At least the people who are sticking to a one-stop strategy, which should be the majority of the field right now. As we look back, Zachary DeLello has Alex Verget-Baruch all over his back bumper in the battle for fourth position. The 3-car actually nosed out the 0-3 at the line, but DeLello managed to pass him back in the course of between then and now. As they head down towards turn 11, I'm curious to see, is this 3-car going to make a move here? I don't think he's close enough. He tucks back in and looks for another opportunity elsewhere. But DeLello having a good old race right here in fourth position. He's hanging tough. This would be his first top 10 finish if he can hold on to it. That's a really strong run as we head back up to the leaders, Denotto and Davey, 1-2.
Yeah, it looks like DeLello is having the same kind of speed as Denotto is, ironically, because they're both pretty good on entry. It seems that that's where they're just braking a little bit later, and they're able to carry more speed into the corner. And that just makes it really tough to pass people, and it makes it tough to get past as well. So we're going to see here, Denotto is right on that 38 car. I mean, right on him. And, you know, any little bit of time difference in the pits, if Denotto comes out on top, he'll be out ahead, or at least side by side, and that might be all it needs. These two cars are so even right now that it's going to come down to that, I feel like.
And while you were speaking, Logan Williams had an off in the number 1. He's fallen from 28th to 40th on track in a number 1 Synosis Dodge. So tough break for the number 1, but he's got plenty of time to make it back up. As right now, Mark Davey leads his 11th lap of the day. He's led every lap so far from Sam Denotto, who started on pole today, but after some turn 1, lap 1 contact with Davey, got shuffled back to second, and that's where he's been ever since. Hanging out in the back, waiting for a chance to return the favor, perhaps, on Mark Davey, or maybe even jump him in the pits. The Carter Racing System crew is one of the best here, and can the Jeff Bolton Racing team compete?
Yeah, I was just about to mention that contact on lap 1. You know, that's got to be something that's in the back of Sam Denotto's mind right now, just planning on when to use that little bit of contact. He owes that 38 car. You know, it might wait until the final lap, but he's been close enough every single time to do it. He's been very patient back there, and, you know, patience pays sometimes. I still don't know which of these two cars is going to win. If I had to guess, it's going to be the one that comes out ahead after the pit stops. Who that is, I have no idea. You know, we got a good pit crew for Sam Denotto, and we've got somebody who's just straight up ahead. So it's going to be really, really fascinating to see that. And, you know, I think that 38 car has got some good middle and exit speed of these corners, and that's just allowing him to get all this great straightaway run, all of the on throttle time coming out of the corner that he's driving away, which is really, really good for the lead and how far he is ahead.
They're starting to drop Jared Jackson. He's now 3.3 seconds behind, and everybody else down to 13 and a half behind. So this is going to become a 2, possibly 3-car battle for the win if Jackson can gain ground on the pit stops. But what I'm looking to see is who's going to get out front on the pit stops. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Whoever can get out front on the pit stops is going to have an advantage, whether it be Mark Davey through better execution or Sam Denotto with a better pit crew. Either way, whoever of these two gets out in front, or if Jared Jackson tries something funny and jumps both of them, that could throw a wrench into both of their plans.
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right, and there's so many factors that go into pit stops, and there could be problems too on so many different situations. I mean, you could have your pit crew be slow on the pit lane. You could be, as the driver, slow on pit lane. You might not get out of the pits quite as well. Here at road courses, in and out laps are really important, so you might have a slower in lap, a slower out lap. As we're looking at the 3 and the 03, the 3 has finally gotten around the 03. It's about time for that. Here's the 8 car as well. Elijah's doing pretty solid today, as well as the 3 car.
Battling Dylan Young right now for the 7th position. It looks like Young will take it for the time being. And right behind Ironhouse is last week's winner, Aaron Hall. making his second series start, as Ironhouse makes another run up at Dylan Young, but they're going to stay side by side down the crest and up into turn 3 and 4. It looks like Ironhouse will be able to take the spot now, so Elijah Ironhouse threw up into 7th place. A good run from that 8 car, who doesn't want to play second fiddle to his teammate any much longer. He wants to get up to the front. He lost out at Atlanta. He hasn't had the same amount of success his teammates had. He wants to change that in a hurry. And I couldn't pick a better spot to try and challenge him than here at Sonoma.
Yeah, that would be really fascinating because as far as my team goes there, you really, if you're thinking about a road course, you're thinking about Alex in the 3 car. But Elijah's got a little bit something to say about that. Of course, he's got a couple of positions to go, but a solid run from both of them right now as we see a couple of pit stops here. These two have damage.
Yeah, Polanski and Jones in the 77, as Ryan Caggiano also had to make an early pit stop for repair work. He is now stuck on a 2-stop strategy from here on out. Tough break for Ryan Caggiano, who is a very good road course racer in his own right, but today just wasn't his day, as the 2 lap cars cycle out on either side of your 3 car, and he's going to have more trouble trying to deal with the lap traffic here, as Caggiano gets a run down the S's, and Davey and Donato are about to head into turn 7. I would be very surprised if they didn't come in this time. They've got clean track in front of them, and it's only a matter of time before they have to pit anyway, and with clean track ahead of them, this would be a good opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and something I'm curious about maybe is if one of these 2 cars stays out another lap, is that gonna, how much are the tires falling off? Is that gonna impact who gets out ahead? You know, maybe Donato is actually being held up by that 38 car. He stays out an extra lap, gets a lap of clean air, and they're both coming in at the same time, so it won't matter anyhow. It's going to be interesting
Jared
to see.
Jackson joining them on pit road. We'll go back through the field to see who comes with them. Jones stays out, obviously. Alex Vergepperub is coming in with them. So the top 4 are all committing to the 1-stop strategy. DeLello is coming in. Rogers is coming in. Ironhouse is coming in. Aaron Hall's in. Dylan Young stays out a lap. So he will be the first car on track to attempt this overcut, along with Curtis Stevenson, Nicky Martinez, Chris Lattimore, Sam Warning, and a few others. But we're looking at, we're letting Young go up the track now, as we're keeping our eye out on these 2 in the battle for the lead off pit road.
Yeah, right now it looks like that 38 car, that crew is just a little bit ahead. No, though the 00 is going to have a really good exit speed here. Oh, it's not going to be enough, though. They're going to stay in the same order, and it looks like the 38 has actually gained a little bit of time on Sam Donato. Oh yeah, significant amount of time. That's going to be the biggest gap of the day so far, I'd say, between the 2 of them. So that's really well done from the 38 pit crew. Davey is now enjoying a little bit of a cushion finally, without Donato breathing down his throat.
But here comes Dylan Young. He is the race leader ahead of Curtis Stevenson, Nicky Martinez, all the cars that stayed out 1 extra lap. They're going to try an overcut, see how that's going to work. No one's tried it yet, but these guys are going to give it a go. Now to come on the pit road on lap 16. Will the fresher tires play an advantage near the end of this race? Because you see Keon Daly comes in, Kason Cooper makes his pit stop, and Eric Monaco as well. And then Devin Fair and TJ Murray, they were at the back of the field, but they're going to come in this time as well. So that should hand the lead back to Mark Davey on the stop cycle. I believe that Dylan Young will lead the lap on pit road. So that will end Davey's hopes of a shutout lap, flag-to-flag victory. But he's going to have a very comfortable lead over Sam Donato. My question is, what does that 00 have now that he's in a little bit fresher air behind the 38?
Yeah, it's been fascinating so far in this race to see how close together they were for the whole thing. We're going to see if their cars have changed, have had any adjustments so far, but we were watching Donato have a better entry than Davey in the 38 car. We'll see if that's going to allow the 00 to catch up or not. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to start keeping an eye on the intervals when we can. I mean, I want to say that Donato is starting to catch up a little bit, but I'm just not sure. So it's going to be fascinating to see.
See Ryan Caggiano in the top 5. He currently holds the fastest lap of the race at a 1:15.87. But this is deceiving because he has to make one more pit stop in this race, so he will ride out as long as he can before making that second and final stop. So Caggiano enjoying some time in the top 5, a little bit of TV time as well for the 81 Kings Motorsports team. Not the day I'm sure they had hoped for, but they had a good day at Bristol. They can afford an off day at Sonoma. As Mark Davey continues to lead the way, he's got about, let's see what the interval is at the line, Mark Davey with a 1.5 second lead over Sam Donotto. What can Sam Donotto do to close that gap? Because Donotto has been faster than Davey these last few laps, even before the pit cycle started. And now that he's got fresher air, I can only imagine that he'll be able to catch right back up. It's only a matter of how long will it take and what will Mark Davey do when that time comes.
Yeah, he's going to have to start getting better exit velocity as we see a little bit of dust floating about in the track there. I guess somebody must have gone off the course. But what Donotto is going to have to do is he's just going to have to be patient. Like he's been being patient for the whole race. He's got to be patient. He's got to let this thing come to him. He's got to use that exit velocity of these corners and carry all that momentum like this 38 car has been doing all race. He's just got to use that and try to use that to gain time. We're going to see what the gap becomes. I'm not sure if it's going to change a lot, but we're just going to have to see. You know, the 00 car, he hasn't ever been in much clean air like he is right now, so we're not sure how that car is performing. It looks like he's going to be... Oh, he lost a 10th on that lap. See, that's not very good. You don't have a lot of time right now. There's only about 11 laps to go, or 12, you know, so this is really... it's going to be interesting to see if Sam Donotto has anything for him.
Another battle to keep an eye on in this race is Alex Verget-Barube is starting to close the gap on Jared Jackson. That could be a battle worth keeping an eye on. That's the battle for the final podium place in third. Jackson has it at the moment, but Alex Verget-Barube is faster than him. About 2 seconds behind now. We'll see how that carries on for the rest of the race. Caggiano remains in the top 5 for now. Zach Rogers having a very solid day. He needed a solid day. He entered this race very deep in the points hole. He needed a good day, and he's having a good day here at Sonoma. Running 6th at the moment, just ahead of Santiago Alvarez in the 98. He's running in 7th. This will, of course, they will all move up a spot once Caggiano hits pit road. Ironhouse is there. Alexa Lutchins made her way into the top 10, so good effort from her to make her way through the field. Performing at a level we expect her to be running at the time being. We're focusing on Zach Rogers just to show how good of a run he's having in that Aaron's Dodge. But right now, it's Rogers leading Alvarez, Ironhouse, and Lutchen. That is the battle for 6th right now. And I think Caggiano has just made his pit stop, quite possibly, because it looked like he lost 2 seconds alone on that exchange. So we're looking on pit road. He may have just lost that time on the racetrack, so we will keep an eye on him. Dylan Young runs 10th. Zachary DeLello is the big loser on the pit stops. He fell from 4th to 11th on the cycle. He's still running there right now. Felix Anderson running 12th as we take you through the field through lap 20. Curtis Stevenson having a much better run than at Gateway. Keith Hughes running in 14th. Good effort from him. Chris Lattimore needs a good run. He's running 15th ahead of Bill Capri, who needed a good run as well. He started it with a pretty good run, but now he's faded back to about 16 ahead of Kyle Corbett in the 86. The Genesis Engineering Dodge of Kyle Corbett. Jose Guevara right behind him, who DNF'd on the first lap at Gateway, is having a very strong run up in 18th.
Yeah.
Ahead of Earl Sear in 6th, and Francois Chastain running out the top 20.
Yeah, this is really interesting to look at all these cars that are doing really well today. You know, like I was saying at the top of the show, you're going to see some drivers up there that really aren't your common factors in these races, just because it's a different style of racing. So it's really cool to see a lot of these drivers have good days when normally they wouldn't even maybe even make the race, you know.
Red Bishop 21st. Actually, well, now Caggiano has made his pit stop, so he will fall down the running order, as you can see. That moves able to grow it up to 21st. Nicky Martinez up to 22nd. Keon Daly 23rd. Ahead of Christian Russell and Aaron Hall, another big loser on the pit cycle. He came in about 14th and exited 25th, which is where he's running right now. So Hall just managing his stuff on his second career start, running in the 25th position. Ahead of Kason Cooper in the Ally Chevrolet in 26th. And Giovanni Pena in the 99, making a run at it in 27th position. Actually, he's battling Eric Monaco for that spot right now, a battle that will settle in favor of Pena in the 99. He's edged out David Dixon in 29th, Dan Wilkins running 30th, and just behind them, Peter Onjak, who's been the model of consistency so far this season, but it's not been a good day for him. He went off track early and struggled to recover. He's still back in 31st, where he was running at about the 4th or 5th lap of this race. Right behind him, Sam Warning in 32nd. As we look at the cars going through turn 11, Sam Warning 32nd. John McFadden in 33rd position, having about as much of a day as we expected him to have. Devin Fair running 34th, Sam Joseph 35th. Kenneth Grant having a struggle today, running in 36th. We expected a lot more, but he'll rebound, I'm sure, at Phoenix the next time we head out to the track. TJ Murray runs 37th, Logan Williams 38th after an off-track excursion for number 1. And behind them, Matthew Polanski and AJ Jones, who still have a pit stop to make. They are running 39th and 40th right now. They will fall to the tail of the field once they make those stops. So put Polanski and Jones in 39th and 40th for the time being. Jerry Cook in 41st after a late pit stop, and Brian Caggiano rounding out the field in 42nd after making his second pit stop of the day. So that's your run through the field. We are 23 laps into this 30-lap race, and Mark Davies still leading, but look how close Sam Donotto has gotten. He has chased down this 38, and he is ready to show that Sam Donotto is deserving of this race win after losing out at Pensacola to start the season.
Yeah, that's very surprising. Sam Donotto, that one lap that we watched these two race with one another after the pit stop, Sam Donotto had lost a bunch of time, but now he is right there on the bumper of that 38 car, just like they were before. So we're going to see if Sam Donotto is any more aggressive this time. Maybe he employs the bumper to maybe help him out with making the pass. We'll see. It might not be time for that yet, though. It might not be late enough in this race for Sam Donotto. You don't want to move somebody out of the way just to open yourself up to getting moved later. And we've yet to see what Sam Donotto can do from the front of this field. He hasn't led at all since he started on the pole and then immediately got passed in turn 1 by Davies. So it's going to be interesting to see if that 00 car can get out front. Obviously, he's quicker right now. So we'll see if the 00 would be able to pull away if he were to get out front. And here's a battle for third that I wasn't expecting to see. The 3 car is right on the bumper of Jackson.
They're battling it out for the final podium place. It's a 1-point difference between 3rd and 4th. But they know that if Mark Davey and Sam Donotto have a little coming together on track, it puts these two in the battle for the victory, and that's what they've got to hope for, is that Donotto and Davey have a little off-track meeting that it results in them falling out of the race and into the tires, and that will allow Jackson and Alex to make a move up there.
Yeah, and if you remember that Alex was back in that group of cars that was 13, 14 seconds behind these leaders. I mean, that's a pretty good recovery to get up there and race for third. I don't think that there's enough time for either him nor Jackson to get up to this lead duo we have here. But either way, those two are looking really good as far as people who are good in this race that aren't the two that have been dominating the whole thing right there in front.
As Peter Onjak comes out of the pits, he must have had an overheating issue that finally became too much. He had to come in and address that. And as he comes out of the pits, he will have the freshest tires of anybody on track. We'll see what happens with the 70 car. This is a fast car. Let's see if he can chase down the front two. See what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to keep watching. It'd be interesting to see if he is able to impact this lead battle here. He's between second and third on the track. Of course, it's not for position. He's a lap down, but it'll be interesting to see if he's able to catch up and then maybe play spoiler to these two up front and maybe make it a little bit tougher for these two racing for the win.
We're coming to 5 laps to go this time by, and with Mark Davey in the lead of this race, Sam Denotto in second. They've pretty much been in control of this race from the outset. One of these two has been out front the entire race, aside from when Dylan Young led 1 lap during the pit stop cycle. So that will allow... Ooh, that was close between Denotto and Davey right there. Denotto must have tried making a move there. It didn't quite work out, as you see Matthew Polanski back on pit road to complete his service and come back out on the track behind these two, and he'll probably come out right alongside Peter Onjak. They will have the fastest tires of the field. Ooh, as Denotto tries to make a swing up high, doesn't quite work out, and he has to back off and wait for another chance. That's not a particularly prominent passing zone, but he sure tried to make it one. Here's more of a passing zone right here, going into turn 4A, as Denotto couldn't quite make it, but he's got room to make something happen. Maybe into turn 7 he sends it in really deep, but
not enough.
Mark Davey continues to hold the lead here. These two have been fighting it out for a while, and look, Peter Onjak's back there. He's slowly gaining on these guys a little bit, and as is Matthew Polanski, so I'm looking to see if that 70 and that 18 will play a factor in who wins this race.
Yeah, and I'd bet you they're telling Sam Denotto right now that those guys are coming and they're going to impact this battle. So he needs to get out front before they get there, because if he doesn't, then he might be stuck back there for the rest of this race just due to the fact there's too many cars around for anything to happen. But these two are driving away from the 23 and the 3 and third and fourth. We kind of were expecting that to happen, but it's worth noting because the farther ahead of those three they are, the better chances that these two have of keeping the lead, even if they were to run into one another. But Sam Denotto, he is on fire right now. He is just searching and trying so desperately to get a run, to get around the 38 cars we saw last time by. Anywhere on this track that 00 is trying to make the pass.
Going through 4A once again, didn't quite make it there. Onjak closing in, he's going to try and send it into turn 7 once again. He last to the late breaker, Sam Denotto, as he makes it through turn 7, still behind. But Peter Onjak's closing that gap, and it wouldn't surprise me a bit if Onjak tries to make a move on Denotto here to try and unlap himself. It's not, I don't know if it's worth the risk for Denotto to try and fight Onjak at this point, but every second he spends fighting that 70, that 38 just gets farther and farther away.
Yeah, it's gonna. I guess that if I were that 00 car, I would try to follow the 70, maybe, because we know that the 70 is going to get by the 38. Except, wow, it's really tight between the two of them. But yeah, I would let that 70 car by. Try to follow him past the 38. I think that's what I would try to do here. We'll see though. There's not really a passing zone right here. Well, I guess that I have been proven wrong, because the 70 is going to the inside. Peter Onjak trying to make it happen on Sam Denotto. Still not enough room. It just shows how much faster of a car you can have. I mean, we saw Peter Onjak gain on these guys on fresh tires, and then just, I mean, he is stalled out so far. As soon as he got to him, there's just no room to pass.
Going down into turn 7, we're coming to 2 laps to go this time. Mark Davey has led 26 laps so far, and he's looking to, but you don't get points for leading any of those. You need to lead the final lap, and that's what Mark Davey's hoping to do. That's what Sam Denotto's hoping to do. These two are going to settle this victory between them here at Sonoma, and the big question is, which one will it be, and who will gain the advantage coming out of this hairpin in turn 11. They're coming down into the corner once more, and it looks like Davey's going to stay ahead for the time being. Coming through the corner as Sam Denotto! No! Sam Denotto's got spun by Peter Onjak in their battle And that has just knocked Sam Donato out of a shot to win this race. He's fallen back now. How far back has he fallen? He's gone back 5.3 seconds. His race is shot. Now it's all up to Mark Davey. Can he hold on for 2 more laps to secure a victory, which now has fallen right into his lap here?
I was just about to mention how I felt like Sam Donato needed to just let Peter Onjak by because he was getting heat up on the bumper. Every single corner, that 70 car was right on him, and it was a matter of time. That 70 car was just too much faster for the 00 to handle, and then eventually it was just too much, and there was contact. That is really unfortunate. Davey is going to have to learn from that mistake, because he does not want to get spun out by one of these lappers. If they catch him, he just needs to let him by, because you can't stay out in front of them. They're too fast, and it's not worth it right now in this race, coming to so few laps to go.
And even a minor spin like the one Donato suffered put him 5 seconds behind. So as they go through turn 11 to take the white flag this time, Mark Davey just has to manage his gap. He's got to let Polanski and Onjak go if they get to him, and just hang on, because the white flag is out. We're on the final lap, and Mark Davey now just needs to manage, save, whatever he can do to hold on to this lead. You can see Donato in the background there, but right now this race is Mark Davey's to lose. And look at these 2 lappers that are gonna try and catch him here.
Yeah, this is going to be really critical right now. This 38 car needs to just let them by. Cannot fight with these cars right now. He's got a 5-second lead, and it's not worth fighting these guys. I mean, we know that there's problems that can happen. It just happened, and he's holding that line into the corner.
Notice how Donato gained 3/10 that last lap on pure pace alone. So yeah. Donato is still faster, even with those flat-spotted tires. But Davey just got to hang on for the final few corners. It looks like he'll be able to do it, though.
We'll see, though. That spin with Donato happened coming out of turn 11, which is the final corner. They haven't gotten there yet. They're about to. This is going to be really interesting to see. I hope that these lappers stay out of it, but we'll have to find out right now.
They make it through, free and clear. Mark Davey from Australia is going to make his name in the Nitro National Series. He wins at Sonoma Raceway for his first career win and just his 3rd career start. And he does it on the road course at Sonoma. We expected him to be good on the roadies, but it took a lot of luck for him to pull this one out of the hat here today.
Yeah, that was an absolutely impressive performance. I mean, from him and from Sam Donato alike, they both just dominated on this field today. It didn't end like we thought it would, that's for sure. But, these 2 drivers just absolutely put on a clinic for everybody else. And
heartbreak, though, for Sam Donato. He will come home 2nd. Jared Jackson held off Alex Verget-Berube at the end to take home 3rd. The 3 will finish right behind him in 4th. And 22 seconds behind is Zach Rogers, who gets himself into the top 10 for the first time this season in 5th position. Good effort from the Full Frontal Motorsports roster to make that happen for Rogers. As Santiago Alvarez comes across in 6th, behind him Alexa Lutchen, nice rebound for her to finish 7th. Ahead of Elijah Ironhouse, good effort from him in 8th. Ahead of Dylan Young, the first of the overcutters, in 9th. And Curtis Stevenson rounding out the top 10 in his 2nd career start, latching onto the top 10 for the first time, just ahead of Zachary DeLillo in 11th. This race provided a lot of strategy, a lot of intense racing, a lot of management, a lot of chaos at the end, but a very deserving winner in Mark Davey here at the very end.
Absolutely. It was a great race to watch. I really enjoyed hanging out here, watching this race at Sonoma, and it was really fascinating to see how it all played out. Towards the end there, I really thought that Sam Donato was going to have something, but he just waited too long to make the move. I don't know if he even would have been able to make the move had he stayed up there, but another heartbreak for Sam Donato, jubilation for Mark Davey, and it's a good old time. We'll see what happens next week.
Which next week, both series will be returning for the first doubleheader since Bristol. and this time we're staying out west at Phoenix Raceway. It's going to be a lot of fun with that intense dog leg cutting we see on the restarts.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun to watch for both series to tackle, and I hope you'll join us for that as well, as both series, the Superstar Series and the Nitro National Series, take on Phoenix Raceway. And with the new owners' points setting the field, it'll be interesting to see who gets in and who doesn't going forward from here on out. So from Duke Antec and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Sonoma Raceway after a wild first road race of the season for these Nitro National Series drivers. It ended in a surprise, but a welcome one from Mark Davey. He's your winner, and the first international winner in the 1UP Nitro National Series.